Hello, I'm Gabby and welcome to the Happier Life Project. A brand new season of the podcast is well underway, and behind the scenes here at My Possible Self, the free award-winning mental health and wellness app, we're busy beavering away on a brilliant new rebrand set to launch in early September. However, that feels far too long to leave you hanging. So in the meantime, we're bringing you a handpicked selection of standout episodes from the Happier Life Project archives. And we're kicking things off with a mini-series all about mental health and romantic relationships, because let's face it, this is one of the areas we all struggle with, and these episodes are absolute gold. Across July, we're diving into some of the most talked about topics, featuring insights from world-class dating and relationship experts. So expect, coming up, conversations around communication and dating best practices, toxic relationships, narcissism, and knowing when to walk away, sex and mental health, heartache, breakups, and coping with separation. And to get us started, today's episode is all about online dating, ghosting, and how to attract the right partner with Therapy Jeff. Jeff Gunther is a licensed professional therapist who became somewhat of an internet sensation. With millions of followers on TikTok, over 1.2 million followers on Instagram, and a loyal YouTube audience, Jeff's bite-sized, relatable advice is saving relationships one video at a time. Let's be real here. The world of online dating can be overwhelming, cringy, and occasionally full of weirdos. But it can also be fun, empowering, and just maybe your path to meeting the right person. That said, it's surely not for the faint-hearted. How do you write that bio that's cute but not cringe? How do you show up as yourself without oversharing? How do you spot the red flags or avoid the creeps? Or worse, receive that unsolicited dick pic? Don't worry, Jeff's here with all the best advice to help you navigate it with more confidence, self-worth, and clarity. So, ready to find a healthier, happier you? Let's get started. Should we jump in?
Yeah, let's jump in. Let's go for it.
Cool. Welcome, Jeff Gunther.
Thank you.
Licensed professional counsellor based in Portland. As a lot of your work is online, I feel like we've come to the right person to talk about online dating, ghosting, and attracting the right partner. Mm-hmm. So welcome to the Happier Life Project.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here and that I'm on the show. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about, so I'm very excited.
Okay, the world of online dating, Jeff, it's an absolute minefield. Mm-hmm. Let's start with a fun bit of trivia. Do you know what was the first online dating site?
Oh, God.
Before there was Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Grindr, there was...
Was it Match.com?
You're right! It was!
It was?
It totally was. Yeah, it launched on the 21st of April, 1995.
Oh my God, that's so long ago. I was just 14 years old. So I was not using Match when I was 14 years old.
Some 14-year-olds might have, you never know, but not you. So. Why do you think people opt for online dating?
I mean, it feels like it's the modern way of dating. You know, like we've sort of like since 1995, we've come a long way. Where back in the beginning, in the 90s, late 90s, even early 2000s, it just felt and maybe it felt like weird or awkward or desperate, or we weren't used to like creating an online profile and understanding like how to put ourselves out there. It was back in 1995, you didn't trust putting your credit card online, right? Like it was just like, what is this process? I don't know what's happening here. I don't trust the online world. But now it's just sort of like everything is on our phone and everything is in our pocket. And it's just so easy.
Yeah.
So whether it's like trying to, find a car through like Uber or Lyft, or even trying to find a therapist, like there's like really easy online ways to find something that you want. And
Yeah.
so it just sort of makes sense. And I get it.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, sort of Uber, you need to get somewhere, you need to go somewhere, and it's like you can see why literally everybody that has Uber in their area would sign up
Hmm.
for it. But when it comes to signing up for
Hmm.
romance, as we're focusing on romance for this month, I think there's still people that are a little bit shy and nervous about it, and then there's some people that are maybe just creeped out about it and intimidated about it. So even though everything is
Hmm.
online, there's still, I think, some people that maybe don't want to go there.
Yeah, I think so. I think that like when you're meeting people in real life in person, you can pick up on all of the signs, the energy that you're feeling. You can understand what's going on in the moment, and you have so much more data to collect of like, how am I feeling? Is this person nice? Do I like them? Is there chemistry? Do I feel safe? But if you go online, you can't really tell, and you don't even know if like what someone is putting online is accurate or not. And it
Yeah.
feels awkward. It feels weird. There's more pressure. It doesn't feel as natural, even though we've been doing it for what feels like ages. There's still something kind of clunky about it, and although, I think that things are shifting in a way where like now people probably prefer to meet online and through dating apps because maybe it feels too vulnerable meeting in person, or maybe it feels too scary to just sort of like go up and approach somebody. I'm 41 years old, so I feel like I straddled these two generations where I remember having to like go up to people at bars or restaurants or events and like trying to flirt with them or come up with like a little one-liner to like figure out how to start a conversation. But I
Yeah.
also understand the benefits of online dating. So I know that there's benefits in both ways, meeting people in real life and meeting people online. But
Yeah.
I just want to empathize and emphasize that like it still feels weird. It still feels awkward. There's nothing wrong with you
Yeah.
if it doesn't feel quite right for you.
And I think there's also a category of people that do want to do it, but they hold back, maybe because they're intimidated, or maybe because they're embarrassed, or, and I've guilty of this myself, in case you see somebody you know on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, we all know why we're here. Hi.
Yeah. And it's, to like meet somebody and be in relationship. And it feels kind of weird because you're presenting yourself in a way that maybe you don't typically present yourself when you're hanging around your friends or family or something like that.
Yeah.
Even for me specifically, if I'm a therapist, I am a therapist, but if I
Yes.
get on there and I create a profile, my clients might come across that profile. And
Oh,
that's going
yeah.
to be really weird for them. And it also feels weird for me because that's not how I present myself in the therapy session. So
Right.
depend like if you see a
Right.
teacher that you would never imagine would be, or whoever you see, it does feel pretty weird.
Yeah, so what's the answer there? Do people in the public sector, if you will, do you just not go on? But then you don't need to answer. But have you ever been on online
Oh
dating and
yeah, I've
like,
I've used online dating on and off for the past 10 or 12 years or something. And it's funny because like,
right?
and there have been clients of mine that have come across me. A lot of times I'll tell my clients even before I get online, like, hey, I'm going online. You might see me. If I know that they're also online dating, and I'll let them know, do not respond to me. Do not message me. I cannot respond back to you. That would be weird. And they're like, yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
that takes a lot of the awkwardness out of it,
Yes,
right?
exactly. So sometimes just telling people that you're getting on can take the awkwardness out of it. So you can also look for apps that like fit who you are and what your values are. And sometimes that takes the awkwardness out as well.
That's a really good idea. For every amazing story about somebody finding their soulmate and being whisked away and living happily ever after, there's like a bazillion bad date stories. In fact, I was speaking to my hairdresser this morning and she told me about, because I was telling her we had this podcast recording coming up, and I said, have you ever had any bad experiences? And she was like, oh my God, how long have you got? She said the one that springs to mind is a guy that messaged her and his opening line was, I would like to be your slave.
Wow.
And so she thought, well, this guy is setting himself up. I'm going to have a bit of fun here.
Sure.
So she asked him various things. And one thing that I will share is that she said, can you send me a video of you barking? So he did. So then she thought, this is hilarious. I'm going to push it even further. She was like, now can you be on all fours barking, but I want the bark to be louder, please. So he said, I can get on all fours, but I can't bark any louder because my mother's in the other room.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, so
Yeah.
I feel like those sorts of things happen more often online because you can kind of like, you sort of take the chance and put yourself out there. There's still like a feeling of anonymity. Like you can get away with it. And if it doesn't work, you just sort of like don't talk. Also, if you're just kind of a creeper, and you like to get reactions from people, then I guess there's more opportunity to do that because you can sort of like spam message as many people as you want and see if you can get a reaction from them. I think, asking somebody if you want to be their slave is fine if you're doing it on the appropriate app with like the appropriate expectations. There's lots of kinky apps out there where like people want to be tied up and want to be slaves, or BDSM sort of stuff. So I love that for you. But to do that in a way that's really unexpected might be a little much,
Just a tad. And she also said that I think the reason they matched was, well, they were obviously attracted to what they saw, but she said when she got the videos through, he looked nothing like, shocker, the pictures that he'd put on his profile. Yeah, there is this thing though, isn't there, about when we talk about like masks, you can either be who you, I guess, really are, and that's somebody that likes to get on all fours and bark, or choose your own adventure. Or you can be maybe the person you want to be, or you can be maybe the person that you think others want you to be. So none of this is really healthy, though, is it?
I mean, ideally, you're getting on there and you're being who you authentically are, and you're honest with what you're all about and what you look like and what your interests are and values and core beliefs are. But since you don't have to do that and nobody's like holding you to it, a lot of people kind of go into it being like, how can I be the most attractive to the people that I want to date? And so they sort of like create this persona that they think other people will like. That's not exactly who they really are. And I get why you do that. It's probably coming from a place of insecurity. You think that you'll get more matches that way. Like, that makes sense. But it's all going to come crumbling down when you meet them in person, right? So it seems kind of like silly to not be your authentic self online.
Absolutely. When we think about like mental health and online dating, well, this is why we did want to do an episode that focused on it, because it can just really be quite detrimental, can't it? Whether it's messages you're receiving or not receiving, and also being vulnerable as well, because if you are going to be authentic, then that takes some vulnerability, doesn't it?
It does. And if you're authentic and you're vulnerable and you really put yourself out there and you don't get as many matches or messages as you'd like, then all of a sudden you feel really bad about yourself. And that's understandable. Like, it feels like your value is based on how many people like you or don't like you. So if you're not getting the results you want, then you're going to really start to question yourself or feel really insecure and have a pretty upsetting experience on these apps.
So if you're that type of person, do you suggest maybe working on things like self-esteem and self-worth, so that if everything you just mentioned happens, that you can just brush it aside and be like, well, so what? I don't know that person.
I mean, ideally,
Or,
yeah, that's how
yeah,
you want to react,
ideally.
is like not taking it personally. It's easy for me or you to be like, okay, create a profile and just make sure you don't take it personally. Like, that's kind of impossible. There's going to be a certain part of you that's going to take it personally. But I think you also have to like enter into it knowing that, like, if you do get rejected or you don't get as many messages or likes as you want, these people don't really know you. A lot of people are just sort of like projecting onto you. They're seeing your profile and reading it in a very specific way from their own
Right.
lens, from their own perspective. So it doesn't actually accurately reflect who you really are, even if you are trying to be as authentic as you possibly can be. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
working on self-esteem and self-worth and feeling good about yourself is really important. Trying to enter into it with like a more playful attitude instead of like very serious. So trying to
Mm.
like make sure that you feel inspired to do it. Like, this is something I'm really interested in doing. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see. I'm going to put myself out there and kind of like sift through it. And if it starts to feel bad, then I'm going to stop or I'm going to pause or I'm going to take a break. So making sure that you're feeling like mentally fit and that you
Yes.
have emotional resilience, because this can be
Yes.
like a difficult process.
And then in terms of attracting the right type of attention online, do you have any tips there? It's really hard, isn't it, when you're kind of a bit restricted as well with the profile. Usually it's like describe yourself in 3 words, or you've got that opening line that you've got to think of something witty, and then
Mhm.
what pictures do you use? So do you have any tips for attracting the right attention? Because it is quite superficial at first, isn't it? We're all guilty of it. We're window shopping, we're looking at photos.
Oh my God. Yeah. It is so
Yeah.
superficial. So you kind of have to like, I don't know, accept that to a certain degree, that if you're going to do
Yeah.
online dating, then a lot of it is going to be very superficial. And that's too bad and it's upsetting. But and you're right, there's not a lot of like room sometimes to create like a really big profile. Unless actually if you do use match.com, which is still a thriving dating site, I
That's
think,
right. Yeah.
or like OkCupid, there's like some dating sites like that where you really get to like write paragraphs about who you are and what you're into and what you're like, and you can kind of like put your authentic self on display. But if you use an app like Hinge or Bumble or Tinder, it's very limited in what you're putting out there. So think about it. Like, think about what you're looking for and like what you're looking for, as in like what type of relationship are you looking for? Are you looking for something serious? Are you looking for something casual, something a monogamous relationship? You're a forever person, something poly or open. So maybe start there about like what you're looking for. And when you create your profile, especially if it's those like shorter little snippets that you have to enter, try to make it conversational. Try to make it so that if you put something in there, somebody can respond with a question of like, oh, tell me more about that. What is your favorite taco place? Where,
Ah,
um,
yeah.
tell me about like your top 5 favorite books that you said you love to read or you enjoy playing basketball. Who's your favorite team? So if you can like create little things that are like really easy conversation starters on your profile, it makes it easy for somebody to reach out to you.
Oh, that's really good advice. When you talk about things like Match.com, and I can't remember
Okay,
the name of
Cupid.
the OK Cupid, thank you. You have to pay for those, don't you? But then you do get more of a sort of a sifted.
Hmm.
You get, because I'm thinking about somebody I know who got married, who met on Match.com, and it was like a 98% match or something. So they
Right.
get more specific than your Tinders or whatever that's free.
They do. And so that's something to consider. You can join one of the free apps and that's fine, but it's not as narrowed and focused maybe, or you're just sort of like getting dealt, like you just swipe through everybody and it takes a lot of work. But sometimes if you pay for it, it's kind of like it's an experience where there's like a more sophisticated algorithm maybe that can like better
Right.
match you. So yeah, something to think about.
Yeah, so if you are on the freebies, do we have to just resign ourselves to the fact that we are going to see pictures of, like when I lived in Nashville, it was always man holding fish. That was like classic.
Yes.
And bathroom selfies, which I think is quite universal. And then, of course, the classic, do I dare say, dick pics.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. I still don't understand why people don't think more about the pictures and photos that they're uploading onto their profiles. There's so many. I don't know if like the men holding fish is like a real thing. And I think maybe they're doing that because it does work for a certain demographic. I don't know who that demographic is. I don't know.
Who? I mean, and it's like it's always like the same. It's the same hand even that I remember seeing. I was like, what is this like? Is it a Tennessee thing? Is this an
Right.
America thing? It was just like man holding fish.
They're so proud. Yeah.
Yes, like look at me, I'm a hunter. You know.
Uh-huh. That probably has something to do with it. It's like, look how manly and masculine I am. I caught this really big fish. I'm so strong and I can provide for you. Don't you want to eat fish for the rest of your life? I can provide, so there might be,
I'm a pescatarian though, Jeff, and I still didn't take the bait.
yeah, well, that fish took the bait, but you didn't. Um,
But
So, so I get it. And the bathroom selfies, I think we need to move beyond that. Even like any selfie, like maybe just one selfie per profile. Just because like if all the pictures are selfies,
yeah,
we know that you know how to take a selfie. You have your best angle. It's maybe probably
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
exactly what you look like. I think you look beautiful. That's fantastic. But I want to see like all different angles of you. I want to see you doing something socially or like you and your whole body or something, just to kind of get like a better idea of what you look like and if we'd be a good match or attractive. But the dick pics, typically they're like sent unsolicited, like they're sent without being, asked for a dick pic.
Right.
And I think it's
Yeah.
a real bold choice for people with penises to be like sending pictures of them. And I don't know. I'm not sure. I imagine what they're trying to get out of it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'd like to know the success rate as well.
Oh God, yeah.
Is there an algorithm for that? I wonder yet.
I'd like to know too. I think the general rule is just never send a dick pic unless you're specifically asked for it. Otherwise, it's a very bad
Yeah.
idea. And also like I don't know, dick pics aren't like it's not a very attractive like part of the body a lot of the times. And men probably can't take like a really good angled selfie of it. It's never like very flattering. I think they hope that like you're really turned on when you see it, like, oh my God, I want to have that. But I'm not sure
Yeah.
that's what's really going on.
It's usually like a firm block, isn't it? I think is probably, well, from
Yeah.
people that I know that that's happened to. But that's a very obvious red flag when we
Yes.
look at or talk about other red flags.
Hmm.
Because you're coming out with some great advice here, Jeff. What do you think are other red flags when we are entering into the world of online dating and trying to find somebody genuine and that we vibe with? Who should we be steering clear of?
I think one of the first things you need to check in with yourself about is like, what does your intuition, what does your gut say about this person? So a red flag for you might not be a red flag for me. It might be a green flag for me, right? Like a red flag for you is like somebody who's like, I want to be your slave. Maybe for me, I'm just like, I need some slaves. This is fantastic. Like, I want my partners to do whatever I tell them
Ah,
to do, right? So possibly a green flag.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's so first like check in with yourself. Also, I just want to say the like me saying I want some slaves sounds horrible. Uh, I don't actually. That's not a green flag for
That's
me
no.
at all. Don't cancel me
Yes.
over that. That's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Just
I like the disclaimer
okay,
there.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Disclaimer. So trust your gut, but also another big red flag is, and maybe you've encountered this if you've been on the apps, but like there are some people that end relationships and then maybe a little too quickly create a profile, and they create a profile that is like, oh, obviously you're reacting to your ex. You're angry, you're upset, you're telling me what you don't want. I don't want drama. I don't want somebody that can't listen to me. I don't want somebody that doesn't have their own life. If you're telling me what you don't want, that's a red flag. I want to know what you do want. I want to feel positive. I want to feel excited. I want to feel like you're getting on here because you're feeling inspired to meet somebody, not because you just like want to get over your ex. And if somebody says, I don't want drama, you're the drama, babe. You're going to bring it. Like that. I don't believe that for one
Oh,
second. So,
that is good.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I one red flag for me that I've learnt through the error of my mistakes, I would say, is that when you look at somebody, pictures and they just look a bit different on some of them, and you're just like, was that taken 10 years ago? But then you try and give them the benefit of the doubt. That tends to be a red flag. That's, if I have met somebody, it's been a red flag, which I've just ignored in the past.
Yeah, you can start like, oh, somebody looks a lot younger. All these pictures are very curated and don't feel very accurate. And that's your gut speaking up, being like, something doesn't add up. I'm not understanding what's going on here. This feels a little manufactured or something. So trying to look for like more recent photos or photos that all look taken around like the same time period is always a good way to go.
Yeah. But is it bad that we're judging others on how they present themselves? And again, is this going to cause some judgment on ourselves as well? Or is this just what we're signing up for?
Oh, all of the above. Yes. I mean, is it bad?
Yeah.
Probably. Can we stop doing it? Probably not. Like, these apps are meant to be judged. And we don't, like, when you meet somebody in person, or if you meet somebody in real life, or if you go on a first date with somebody, that's when you really start to understand who they are. Like, what makes them tick? What is their energy like? What are their values? Are they good at banter? Do you feel safe and secure? Can you create conversation? You can't put those things in an app. You can't measure those things and put them in an app, but you can measure their height, what they look like, their job, some like basic demographic information. So we only have that to go off of. And that isn't actually like what makes a good match. That's maybe like 10% of what makes a good match. And then the 90% is what you feel in person. And if there's like, if you get triggered, can they be there for you? Can they emotionally support you? Are they like mentally stimulating? Do you have the same spiritual or political beliefs? Whatever, like some of those things you can put on an app, but you have to really experience those in real life. So we're judging people, but you're supposed to judge people. Again, go on there if you feel like emotionally resilient and that you have the emotional bandwidth to take it,
What happens next when you've matched with somebody and then it's like you have to come up with getting the conversation going is just such a hurdle, isn't it? I think it's like, oh, this is awful. This is so cringe. Any advice for like how we can start getting into some sort of natural, not so awkward banter?
If you want to just Google like things that I should ask, how to have a conversation when you first start matching with somebody, there's like some really easy scripts or questions that you can have. So if you have like your top 3 or 5 questions that are open-ended, that are maybe silly and playful, that aren't like too like vulnerable and intense, then just start there. But like I said earlier, like look at their profile and try to figure out what it is that they're interested in and how you can create conversation around that. So if they like books, ask them about books. If they like sports, what's their favorite team? Like just sort of like look at their profile and ask them more information about it. Then they feel seen, they feel understood, they feel like you're actually really interested in them. It's just not a scripted line. So taking interest in them is a good idea. And preferably, I would say don't spend too long texting back and forth, because you can only go so far. You can only really kind of like understand somebody to a certain degree, and you probably want to like talk on the phone or talk online or meet in person to like really understand who this person is. Yeah.
Well, just taking the thread about like Googling for one-liners and running with it, I did find a top 10, which fun opening lines, which I'm going to rattle through and see what you think about them. Okay, I can't believe this is number 1, but... Hi, I'm interviewing hot girls for a story I'm writing. So what's your phone number and are you free on Friday night?
That was one. That's a little cheesy and I probably wouldn't recommend it.
That's a hard pass, yeah. Number 2, you must have been a Girl Scout because you've got my heart tied in knots.
Okay, I mean, I guess sort of cute. But you're not really like giving them much to reply to. That's not a very open-ended question. It's just sort of flattering, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Well, what about this one? Before we get chatting, I just want you to know that I will never send you an unsolicited dick pic. Unsolicited duck pics, on the other hand, send a picture of a duck.
That's cute. And now I feel like more safe talking to you because I'm not going to get a gross picture.
Yeah, okay. Next one. What will we tell our grandchildren about how we met?
Okay, a little much for me, but how do you feel about that one?
I mean, it's kind of a crafty way of saying how our first date,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
So you could maybe look at it that way, but yeah, a little bit OTT for me
right.
for the opening line. You should probably tie your shoelaces, or you might fall for me.
Again, kind of cute. Uh,
Yeah, that's kind of
yeah,
cute.
so go for it.
How much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice?
Uh, I mean, I don't know. I'm starting to second guess telling people to Google one-liners because I'm not super impressed with this, but go on.
There's still four to go. I might be able
Okay,
to
all right.
bring this back.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you my appendix? Because this feeling in my stomach makes me want to take you out.
Oh God, no. Hey, gross.
Okay, number 8. I think we had a class together once. Was it chemistry?
Uh,
Oh, you're hard to please, Jeff. Okay. Can I have your picture so I can show Santa what I want for
oh
Christmas?
my God. Okay. I mean, I guess maybe this works for a certain type of person. Not turning me on
Yeah?
yet, though.
A
What else do you
certain
got?
type of year. Okay, last but by no means least. Han doesn't want to fly solo tonight.
Oh God. I mean, some of these, I mean, if you're going for like a little chuckle or a little laugh, then
Yeah.
okay, that's pretty cute. But I'm going to like reinforce that the questions you should be asking should be like really open-ended and show that like you're very interested in who they actually are. Like all these suggestions are cute and maybe can kind of like get the conversation going or maybe like get them to reply because it'll get some sort of reaction. But then you at least need to like follow up with like, this is why I'm actually interested in you. And this is like, I see a certain part of you that I think is attractive.
Ooh, I'd like it if somebody said that to me.
Hmm.
Okay, what about the worrying when it comes to ghosting, which we've not talked about yet, but also like worrying if they don't get back to you? Is there a kind of average time frame? Is this another red flag if they take like a week to reply? Does that mean that they're casting the net far?
I
What are your
mean,
thoughts here?
I guess it sort of depends. I mean, a lot of these questions are like, it depends on what you feel comfortable with. So you get to decide. Some people are just like, if you're not texting me back within 30 minutes, then I don't want to deal with it. And some people are like, take a week, you know? It's whatever like fits your comfort level. For me, if I reach out to somebody, I want them to reply at least initially within the first 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, because we all have busy lives sometimes. But then once we like start talking and chatting, I'm going to expect like somewhat regular back and forth. Maybe during the day you're at your job or you're at school or something and you don't have that much time. But you can kind of tell if the energy is there and if you're getting it. If you're not getting it, and you're like, I'm not sure what's going on here. If you're feeling uncertain about it, I say move on. Don't try to analyze what's going on and why they're not responding or what you're doing wrong. We don't want to get in your head about this. Like, we just want to have like good, easy, playful back and forth without the like questions of what's going on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what if they're like really hot?
If they're really hot, then you wait for as long as you need to in order to get that hot person to reply back to you, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess again it depends on what you're going to the app for.
Yes.
But I do think people do get quite stressed out about these kind of things, right? Like,
Hmm.
oh, did I say the wrong thing?
Hmm.
I'd imagine that comes up quite a bit if they don't get an initial response. Or what about the jerks that? Sorry, I'm just getting on a rant. But what
Hmm.
about the jerks that you do spark up a conversation and it flows? And
Hmm.
then they just disappear and never return, and you're like, what the heck?
I hate that. That's not responsible. That's irresponsible online dating, and we shouldn't be doing that. Because if you're starting to vibe with somebody and you're going back and forth, and then all of a sudden you get ghosted, they don't respond, then you're left a lot of times thinking like, oh, it must be me. I must have done something
Mm,
that has caused this. That's a very natural way to think. When in reality, probably has nothing to do with you. It might mean that they're like flooded with other things. It might mean that they're just like they don't feel like doing online dating anymore. There's somebody else that they're interested in. They read, say, like interpreted something you said wrong. Whatever, like who you really are, they don't really know who you really are quite yet. So try to not take it personally. Also understand that like even though ghosting sucks,
hmm
it is part of online dating. It is going to happen. All of us are going to get ghosted at some point to a certain degree. And I hate that for you. And I can't stand it. And I hope it stops. But this is what happens. So we just sort of need to accept that to a certain degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
word. Is it advisable to be speaking to a few different people at the same time rather than putting all your eggs in the one basket, do you think?
Again, this is more of a personal choice. I know for me, I like to talk to more than one person at a time because if I do put all my eggs in one basket, then all of a sudden that connection feels a little more pressured. It feels a little more important than I want it to feel. And I want to be a little bit more breezy and playful. So for me, talking to a handful of people really works because my attention is divided. If something doesn't work out, that's okay. I have a couple other people that I'm chatting with. But for other people, that feels extra overwhelming and anxiety provoking because now, oh my God, there's all these people I have to respond to. And what if I let somebody down? This is horrible. So it's sort of
Right.
up to you. What do you like to do? Do you want to talk to one person or many people?
What about time spent on apps? Like the
Hmm.
scrolling can be so addictive and swiping. And do we need to be mindful of this as well? That it doesn't just become all consuming?
Yeah, I mean, these apps are made very similar to other apps like Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, where they have figured out how to keep you on the app for as long as they possibly can, because the longer you're on the app, the more money they're going to make. So we need to realize these are companies that are trying to make a ridiculous amount of money. And in order to do that, they're going to do things subtly, possibly, that are going to make you feel addicted to the app. And so if you're mindlessly like swiping or scrolling through the app, if you're just sort of like picking it up during a commercial break or you're feeling bored and you just kind of like automatically go to it, then really try to take a break. Like this needs to be a very deliberate, hopefully positive, fun, inspiring thing to do. But if now all of a sudden your worthiness is attached to it, or your self-esteem is attached to it, or you start to feel anxious, you start to feel like you have like an unhealthy attachment to it, then you probably need to take a break because it's now got you in a way where it's like creating a net negative effect on your life when it should be a more positive effect.
Right. And
Mhm.
so then what if you do match with someone
Mhm.
and then you spark the conversations flowing and then you arrange to meet? Then it gets really scary. Any tips here, as in where do we meet? You
Mhm.
know, like how do we behave? Because now we can't hide behind the screen.
We can't. Yeah, we're really exposing ourselves. I
Yes.
love a first date. Like, I think that there's so much hopefulness there and possibility. And am I going to get my needs met? Are you going to get your needs met? Are you going to be my forever person if that's what I'm looking for, or just a casual hookup if that's what I'm looking for? Like, and who knows what's going to happen? So I'm feeling anxious, but it's more of like a excitement sort of anxiety. And I'm really interested in how you're going to present yourself and how am I going to present, like, how are we going to mix energies together? So if you can kind of like hook into that narrative of like, oh, the possibilities, this is so exciting, then it kind of like puts you in a better mental state or emotional state. But I also want you to think about where can you go that you feel the most comfortable? Like it might just be going to get some tea, it might be going to get a drink, it might be going to your favorite lunch spot or cafe, or a walk in the rose garden, or whatever it is. Like a place where
Yeah.
you feel calm and relaxed and comfortable, where you can be your best self. I also think that like if you can kind of like enter into it with like a positive attitude and things that you feel excited to talk about. So a lot of us have like these like first date stories that they'll tell. And go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. If you think you have like a funny story to tell that you're really good at telling, go ahead and tell
Mm.
that story. If you want to make sure that the other person is having a good time, make sure you have questions for them. Take the pressure off yourself and ask them what's up. Tell them to kind of like lead the conversation. And remember
Mm.
that I think a lot of us kind of go into these first dates worrying about like how we're going to be perceived or how somebody is going to think about us. Flip that script and focus on how do I feel about them? Don't focus so much on how they feel about you, but do you like
Mm.
them? Do you like what they're saying? Do you feel safe and secure? Do you think they're funny and cute and sweet and exciting? So if you can sort of be like, this is, you're the one that's doing the interview, not the other way around, then all of a sudden you feel a little bit more in
Yeah.
power and control.
And what if you quite quickly realise that there's no spark and this isn't going to go anywhere? Have you got
Mhm.
any tips for getting out of there fast?
Um, so I, you tell me what you think about this advice because
Okay.
I'm interested.
Okay.
I think that if you quickly figure out that this is not a match, like within the first 5 minutes or something, just let the date continue on. Like spend like it's just an hour of your life. You can like probably have like an interesting, fine time. Maybe it's not a love match or what you're looking for, but like have
Right.
the date. Just like hang out for an hour or so, and
Right.
then
Yeah.
leave, and then you don't ever have to see them again. But to go and for the first 5 minutes be like, oh, this is not what I want, and then try to figure out like how to get out of this date.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what do you think about that? Would you do that?
That's quite harsh. Well, I mean, I'd never get that hour back, Jeff. So I don't.
Time is precious. You're right.
Time is precious. Yeah, I wouldn't want to hurt anybody's feelings for sure.
Right.
I don't know. It's too obvious, isn't it, to receive the phone call where it's
Oh
like,
God, yeah.
what happened? Oh, I'll be there in 5 minutes,
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. This is why I was asking you, but you're saying just be nice and suck it up for the hour,
Just
basically.
just be a nice person and
Just be a nice person,
try to
yeah.
have a good time. Because
And
you're
maybe
right.
practice, right?
Practice. Yeah, practice having conversation and getting to know somebody and being on a date. I mean, time is precious. I understand this, but also it's just 1 hour. It's okay. Everyone will survive. And it is very obvious if you get that emergency text or phone call and you have to run. Now you've just hurt somebody's feelings and they know
Yeah.
what you're doing. So don't be a turd and do that. And when you can just kind of like hang out for a little bit and then follow up later with like, you know what? There wasn't a romantic connection.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of turds, because you brought it up, can we
Mhm.
talk about your YouTube video? This is why you get hooked on people that send mixed messages and that like turds. You said we're magnetized to toxic and dramatic relationships, so that made me think: does this
Mm.
apply online as well?
Oh, yeah, it does. There's something that happens in our brains where it feels like it's a turn on when we can't quite figure out if somebody is into us or not. It feels dramatic, it feels uncertain. All of a sudden, you're just like, how can I win this person over? It's kind of like you're on a dating reality show or something.
Right.
So, not knowing if somebody likes you sort of triggers something inside of you. It's just like, well, I want to be liked. What do I need to do in order to be liked? And then if they do show some interest in you, all of a sudden, that's like a dopamine hit in your brain. You feel really good. You feel like, oh, I got something out of this. And now they're pulling away again. You're like, oh, no, I want to get them back in my life. So you can easily get hooked into the drama. It's the same reason why we watch dramatic shows with dramatic love stories because it's like what's going to happen, oh my god, and we don't tune into shows that have just like healthy, safe, secure, sweet relationships. That's not
Right.
interesting, that's not entertaining. So we want to be
Right.
like the main character in these shows and win the person over, and it
Yeah.
creates like hotness.
It creates hotness, but it also creates so much
Oh
anxiety.
my god, yeah, it's the worst. Yeah, I don't recommend this.
No, but yeah, you are right. We are addicted to it, and
Mhm.
I still don't understand why we don't.
So sometimes
Yeah.
the way I look at it is sort of like there's red flag chemistry and there's green flag chemistry. So like red flag or unhealthy toxic chemistry is when you connect with somebody and you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? This is a roller coaster. I have no idea. I don't have any control. There's like lots of uncertainty. This is
Mm,
amazing. This is so exciting. I can't wait to see what happens. What's up? It feels chaotic. And all of that
mm,
feels like a turn on sometimes because you're like, whoa, this is such a cool, crazy ride. And is it going to work out? I have no idea. Maybe they're like love bombing you too, being like, you're amazing. You're beautiful. I love you so much. And then they disappear for 4 days and then they come back. That is
mm,
chemistry, but that is like red flag chemistry. The green flag chemistry is when you meet somebody and they're consistent, they show up, they're predictable. You feel like you have like similar matches and hobbies and values. You feel so safe and secure with them that you can be your authentic self. You can be like your real self. And that feels
mm.
so nice and sweet and easy to like sink into. Now that's chemistry, but it's not as quote unquote exciting as the red flag chemistry, but you should be looking for the green flag chemistry where you feel really safe and secure and predictable.
Oh, the word predictable. So
I know.
romantic.
That's the thing. And when you're in a relationship that's like long-term predictable and
Yeah.
has certainty, that is not sexy. Like that doesn't that like literally does not turn us on. We don't like automatically want to jump in bed with somebody like that. So you have to
Right.
create that chemistry more deliberately instead of just sort of like banking on the chaos that can create
Yeah.
chemistry. Yeah.
We're really complex beings, aren't we? Because we want that security, we want that happily ever after, but yet we kind of
Hmm.
seek the thrills, right? So it's like saying
Yeah.
that we want the Mr. Nice Guy, but then we probably don't even look twice at the Mr. Nice Guy or nice girl, you
Hmm.
know? It's we're
Exactly.
very complex. As we're sort of wrapping up this convo, I'd love you to share your top 5 tips
Hmm.
on attracting the right type of person online.
Hmm. Number one is, yeah, we've sort of covered a lot of these already, but it'd be good to just sort of put them in a list form for people. Number one, be yourself. Just like we've said, like be your authentic self, put yourself out there on the dating apps in like the most accurate way possible because eventually if you meet them, they're going to see who you actually are, who you're authentic. So you might as well start with that at first. Number two, be really direct about what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a long-term thing, a casual thing, a monogamous or open or poly thing, whatever it is, put it out there because if we know what you're looking for, then all of a sudden like you feel more confident, assured. It's just sort of more attractive, and we know if we're going to be a good match right at the start because hopefully you're looking for the same thing. And if you don't know what you're looking for, then start with that. I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a connection. So then we can kind of like go on that journey together. Third one, expand your search criteria. So a lot of times when you're online, you can be like, I'm only going to date people that are between this age and that age, or this
Yeah.
height and that height, or they have a graduate degree, or they're making this much money, or whatever it is. Like we get really specific and we get really narrow. How tall somebody is typically does not matter when it comes to like how well you can connect with them, how much money they make. I mean, there's like huge ranges, but like you can still really connect with somebody that doesn't make as much money as you want them to make, so like really expand your search criteria and be more open to meeting more people. Four, find a balance between going on a lot of dates and quality dates. I think that some people like think that it's a numbers game, just like I'm going to go on as many dates as I possibly can. It's more of like find the quality dates. So don't go out on a ton of dates because that'll burn you out. Try to go out on dates with people that you feel like could really be a good match for you. And number five, stop doing it when it feels bad. If you're getting angry,
Yeah.
if you're feeling really anxious, if this is like having a net negative effect on your life, stop it. You're not in a good place to be dating. And you're probably going to be coming off as a turd, as somebody who's just like angry and annoyed and frustrated and complains about everything. That's not super hot. You know what I mean?
No.
So try to be more positive and inspired.
Oh gosh, that is such great stuff. When you, on the flip side, attract the wrong type of partner, this is usually a cycle. This is not usually like a one-off, is it? It's like it's history repeating itself.
Mhm.
How do we break that? Just by following your top 5, basically. That's quite a good place to start. I
You can
imagine.
start there, but if you do continue to date people that are not good matches, have the same sort of like unhealthy patterns or something, I would challenge you to date somebody that is outside of your quote unquote type. So you might be continuing to attract the same type of person that's not a good match for you because you only date those types of people. So date somebody that works in a different profession that you might not regularly date, or date somebody that lives in a different part of town, or just sort of like switch something up so that you can really, or go on dates with people that you don't have like a ton of chemistry with, but they tick a lot of boxes for you, you know, because a lot of times like we repeat these bad sort of like unhealthy patterns because we're just like sucked into the energy. And it feels like, oh, this feels familiar. This feels so hot. Maybe go on dates with people where you're just like, there isn't a ton of that energy or chemistry at first, and instead create the chemistry instead of like waiting for it to be there. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's good. Maybe try dating somebody emotionally available rather than emotionally
That's right.
unavailable.
Yes, that should be number one.
Yeah. Amazing, Jeff. Thank you so much. So I have to ask you this as well, because I ask every single guest that comes on the podcast, and that is to set us some homework. We've probably covered it already, but you can reinforce it now based on the theme of the episode. So in this case, Jeff, what is a simple, actionable thing that we can do when navigating through the world of online dating that will help us on our quest to building a happier life?
You know what? I don't think that you should do it alone. I think that like a lot of us create our own little profiles all on our own and just like have this sort of like isolated experience. Bring your friends into it. Create your profile and send your profile to your friends. Ask your friends to create the profile for you. Get feedback from them. When you're like matching with people, send those matches to your friends. So get your community involved with with
I
this
love
process.
this.
And then it's
Yeah.
fun, it's sweet, you're getting really good feedback. Your friends maybe know you better than you even know yourself. They can spot red flags before you can spot the red flags of other people that you're becoming interested in. So get your community involved, get your friends and family involved. I bet they would love to go on this journey with you.
Oh, what a brilliant way to wrap up the episode. I think that just immediately makes it more fun. Such
Hmm.
amazing advice. Your website is therapyjeff.com.
Yes,
TikTok and Instagram, it's at therapyjeff.
that's right. Yeah. And if you have any questions you want to reach me, you can send me an email at jeff@therapyjeff.com.
Look, you've just given out your information and everything.
Slide into my DMs. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but no dick pics.
No, please no dick pics.
Jeff, this has been super fun. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. You're such a good podcaster. That was really easy.
Hello, it's Gabby back with you. Thanks again to Therapy Jeff for just being, well, ace. And thanks to you for making it through this special episode of the Happier Life Project as part of our Relationship Month. Next week on the pod, we are going to discuss communication and dating best practices with Hayley Quinn. So if you haven't already subscribed to the pod, make sure you do. So when that episode drops, you will be notified. And trust me, you do not want to miss it, because Hayley, like Jeff, has a great sense of humour and is full of practical, useful advice. Now, this is super important. If you are suffering with your mental health, there is a crisis button on the My Possible Self app, which will signpost you to the correct information for immediate expert advice. Those of you who are listening on one of the podcast platforms, the My Possible Self app is completely free to download, so you don't need to worry about it costing you anything. If you found this episode helpful, like I mentioned, please do subscribe and leave us a review if you've got the time, please. And to find and follow us on social media, we are at My Possible Self, and I've been at Radio Gabby. So as always, please do take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.